you so much. First of all, I would love to and kindly to thank Mr. Javier for his inspiring words, but mostly for his fearless work on behalf of the victims of this forced exodus in Venezuela and all around the world. Welcome to panel 2, Populations at Risk, Human Rights, Migrations and Refugees. I was encouraged to make some opening remarks about the political situation in Brazil. It does have an impact on the main subject of this conference, and I promise to make it brief. First, I would like to thank all the staff of the Journalists and Writers Foundation, especially Semre Ulker and Mehmet, in the name of whom I salute all others, for the pleasure and honor of being the chair of this important panel about this momentous topic. I also would like to thank Mustafa Göktürk, the president of the Brazil-Turkey Cultural Center, which tireless dedication to the causes of integrity, cultural conversion, and dialogue helped Brazil to create a new vision of Islam and a brand new curiosity over a far distant world, and yet so familiar in so many ways. I have no fear of stating that on the basis of the academic change towards the East in Brazil, there is a place of honor to CCBT. Brazil is widely considered a paramount of tolerance and likes to praise itself for being inclusive, open to all cultures, and friendly, in which economic, ethnic, religious cleavages are milder, and there is great observance to what the Jewish Austrian philosopher refugee in Rio de Janeiro during the World War II, Stefan Zweig, entitled as Observance of the Paradigm of Peaceful Coexistence. He named Brazil as the country of the future for that cultural asset, the tolerance, so much scarce in Europe on his days. Much of the soft power that Brazil has derives from the fact that it does not have a long-standing dissidences with any neighboring or distant countries, except for football, for sure, and to be able to talk to divergent parties and mediate conflicts in relation to which the major world players are, in a way or another, compromised and worn out in reputational terms. Internally, Brazil is a successful and creative melting pot, and externally always propugnates for international dialogue and the tolerance, and the cooperation among peoples of the world is a constitutional value, an aim to be pursued by Brazil in its foreign relations. But yet, the recent refugee crisis has put all these commonsensical notions into proof. Brazil has been receiving a massive amount of Venezuelan refugees and testing the state apparatus to convince society about the morality behind the determination of responding to the needs of non-nationals in a situation of humanitarian crisis. Also, it is the first time that Brazil is receiving more expressive numbers of Islamics. The reactions are mostly of estrangement, doubt, caution, and sometimes, unfortunately, of non-acceptance. Reverberating what is happening in the world, episodes of anti-Semitism are not uncommon, in a confusion with a long-lived critique and insatisfaction to the Labour's work part's foreign policy of maintaining close relations to regimes that are not observant of human rights, and not considering that those immigrants and refugees are the first victims of those regimes. Tolerance, however, still dominates. The new Brazilian law on immigration is considered to be a positive watershed and also an unprecedented legal systematic in compared law. It determines many rights to immigrants, as the right to labor, bank account, participation in the major foreign policies, which means that all public policies must contemplate these vulnerable groups to be no discriminalized by any reasons of origin or legal condition in Brazil. This law is being challenged by decrees and bills that aim to narrow its reach and might suffer many setbacks depending on the near future political scenario of Brazil. The current Brazilian Chancellor, Minister Aloysio Nunes, was the author of this law while he was senator by PSDB party and is actively participating in the Marrakesh process with enthusiasm, commitment, and seriousness. They are his trademarks. Brazilian opening his speech in the General Assembly today is full of meaning and has as background a state and a personal dedication to the cause of immigrants, being humanitarian or otherwise, by the Chancellor and the President Temer himself, a member of the largest Lebanese community outside Lebanon, which is in Brazil. Brazil is on the verge of a presidential election that has been unprecedented, disputed, belligerent, and aggressive. No easy choices must be made by the Brazilian population. In one side, there is the possibility that a party famous by having engendered the largest systematic corruption in world history can return to power, a party that depleted the financial resources of the states, the means by which any social assistance public policy is possible. On the other hand, there is a candidate known by speeches that also systematically preaches intolerance, but with no congressional majority to advance any legislative bill without exhaustive parliamentary negotiation in the prospects of his victory. In a world in which anti-Semitism, anti-Islamism is blossoming, extremists and populist parties becoming more and more popular, humanitarian crises continue as a challenge. The international immigration and refugee regimes are on the top of the agenda, worldly and nationally. I'm sure that the discussions here will be enlightening and clarifying, and I hope that we all have a better understanding of the situation at the end of it. I now pass the word to our lecturers. Each will have 10 minutes at the end of the whole presentation, after the considerations of the discussants, which will have 5 minutes to make some considerations. It will be granted 10-minute moment of Q&A. I kindly thank Mr. Kevin Appleby to deliver his speech over the topic, Contributions of Refugees into the Host Societies. Mr. Appleby is Senior Director of International Migration Policies, Calabrini Center for Migration Studies, USA.